Hello! Welcome to Conscious and Curly, the place for the human experience. I am your host, Angelica. Welcome back to another episode. If you haven't already, I'll just get all this out of the way right now so I can kind of get used to myself saying it. But go ahead, like, subscribe, share, connect with me if you haven't already. If you are listening to this, know that you can also watch this and watch me on YouTube. If you're watching me on YouTube, know that you can listen to me everywhere you find your favorite podcasts. So we got that out of the way. Welcome back to another episode. Since we left off, I have been out and about and doing things on my own time. Right now, I'm really in a seat, not my own time, but more on like just my own accord, alone. I'm in a season where I'm very much just appreciating my alone time and going out by myself. So I went to a singles mixer here in San Antonio. It was hosted by Bee's Knees Events. They do a lot of different single mixers, at least around San Antonio. I don't know if they're in other parts of Texas or the country, but there was a singles mixer. Honestly, it was a dud. I didn't even go really to the event. I went to the place of the event. I ended up meeting some girlfriends, some girls, and made new friends with them. And bringing it back to that last episode with Damien about making friends, I kind of brought that up with these girls and we kind of talked and shared that frustration. And these two girls had actually met out and about somewhere else. And this was like their first time hanging out since meeting out. And that was cool to see. And it was cool to see that people actually are doing the work and actually are like trying to make new friends. And we exchanged information, and we actually hung out yesterday when I'm recording this, and had a great time. We went to dinner and went out, and I've got some new friends, and that feels good. So I guess the singles mixer was a dud for love, but fun for me to meet some cool new chicks. I have been spending lots of time with family. And my mom and my boys. That's been great. I've been getting a good balance of everything. I feel like I'm in a good season of appreciating and embracing all of the spaces that I'm in. Yeah, it was great. I also went to a day party. My friend Joey was promoting that. Shout out Joey. And that was a great event and a lot of fun. And that was another thing I did by myself. And it's just been feeling good to like at least have some shit to share with you guys about my life and to say like, yo, I'm kind of doing some things. My life is a little interesting besides just being a mom. And yeah, it's been a good time. I've enjoyed it. That's really all I have for catch up. Made some new friends, went out with them, successful time. It's been great all around. For my food for thought for today, we're going to get right into our segment. It's about the moon because right now we are in a full moon and anytime we're in a full moon, I kind of want to focus on that, bring energy to that, and help us all learn some cool facts about the moon. So, did you know that there is a very high chance for rain and storms on the days after a new or full moon? And that has a lot to do with how much the moon controls water, and water gravitates towards it. So, I guess according to scientists, based on the new moon, full moon, those are the moons with the most energy, which is why we focus on them. And they just have noticed that clouds kind of gather around those days in spaces that clouds weren't usually gathering, and they've noticed that there's more rainfall. It really isn't like crazy more rainfall, but it's a little bit more, and that's just interesting to know. And already on the forecast, it's usually going to be rainy on like a new or around a full moon. And this full moon, it was raining the whole week before the full moon. So that's just interesting to know. And more about this full moon, according to foreverconscious.com, the Pisces full moon calls us to move out of our minds and into our hearts. Peaking on September 10th, this full moon may bring some scattered, chaotic energy, especially if we try to force or control things. By releasing control and joining the flow, we use the vibrations of the Pisces moon to unlock the magic that lives within. And I also wanted to point out, usually the moons around the end of the month are more emotionally based moons. If it wasn't, So it's also the time and the season of life when most people are in that cuffing season. You hear everybody's like getting lonely, done being single, and trying to focus their attention and their efforts on building a relationship, finding somebody, building, even if it's a team of people. I just want to let you notice and kind of be aware that a lot of that has to do with the full moons that come around the end of the year, and the fact that just naturally the universe and the elements from the universe are garnering our emotions and garnering us to like be more emotional during that time, on top of it being colder and you just wanting to cuddle with people. So just know that that may be also driving and making you desire these things more than you really want to. I'm not saying you don't, but I'm just saying, instead of just going and not knowing what controls or why we're in these seasons, you can just be a little more aware of the patterns of yourself, of the world, and know the role that it plays in your life instead of just walking around blindly. So I guess we will get into our topic. And for this week's topic, so I had actually posted that I was recording and had asked people to, or I ended up doing what Damien said. I don't know if he mentioned it on the podcast, but he had mentioned it to me to try the NGL, or Not Gonna Lie, app through Instagram that people can like post anonymous questions or write you anonymously through a link for the anonymously kinky questions. So I did that and really just got a lot of questions about me. So our topic and what we're going to be discussing is me, and I'm just going to go through and answer those questions for y'all, because I thought it was really interesting. I really wasn't expecting that, but you guys are more interested, and maybe none of those people are even people who listen and they just saw me post a link and are asking things. Either way, they'll miss out on their question, or if they were bots who asked, whatever. Y'all are going to get some answers to some questions that I saw on a link. And that's what this episode's going to be. So we can get into it. And this is going to be a very organic flow. I haven't really read the questions or thought about answers. So y'all are just getting it on the fly and off the top of the dome, as we would say. So first question, have you ever had sex for fun and not just for a relationship? And how does your family feel about your openness with sex? I have had sex for fun and not for a relationship. And I mean, I honestly think all the times I have sex is for fun and never for a relationship. But I understand what this person was asking in terms of not being intentional with my sex. So I think that the 2 times that I can think of that I did do it for fun and not based on true feelings or interest in the person, where they were shitty. Both times were shitty. The first time was me fresh out of a very toxic and abusive relationship when I was young. I was like 19, 20. And I was continuing to have sex with him just to... It was a vengeance thing. He wanted to get back with me. I had no intentions of getting back with him and was only fucking him. And knew that, played it. I knew he was like putting himself on hold for other women and other suitors because of this act I was doing. And all of that was really just vengeance for me. And it was just shitty. I didn't get anything at the end of it. I learned a lot about myself. I learned like how evil I can be and the dark side of myself. But that was just a shitty situation. And then another time actually happened recently, like this year recently. It's not the best. I mean, it is what it is. So that happened and he, I don't know, kind of went crazy. Like, just didn't understand what we had originally, the agreement we originally had come upon, or the fact that we understood that there was like just an act, a sexual moment and nothing else. And he couldn't handle that and whatever. So I've had to block him and it's gotten a little more ridiculous than I think it should be. And it doesn't end up being sex for fun. So what I've learned about myself and just my experience, and at least this journey I'm on, is that that's not for me, and that's not the way that it should, that my experience is supposed to be. As far as the part 2 of that question, how does my family feel about my openness with sex? My mom listens and watches the show. Shout out to you, Mommy. She has always been pretty open with sex herself. And I think that helped empower and encourage me to not be ashamed of the naturalness of sex and how good sex feels, or just, again, the naturalness of it. So yeah, I don't know how they feel about it. They know about it. My mom, I think, very much relates. I see a lot of me and her. Our sense of humor is the same. There's just a lot of similarities. So I feel like she probably relates to me. My sister is very opposite of me, specifically when it comes to sex. But I don't know how I don't think it causes any feelings. I just am who I am. I also don't go into like vulgar detail about my experiences with them. I've never been like, yeah, and I was on my knees sucking that dick and it was, no, I've never done anything like that. This podcast may cause those conversations to come up and us to kind of face that if they listen or watch that. But I really think I plan on dropping any of my sex stories or things that I want to share about my like sexcapades on my Patreon that I'm working on. So that's where that will be. And I don't know if they'll listen to it there. So they know about it and they're cool with it, but I don't know if they really have any feelings. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful that they're as accepting as they are and that I don't really have to like hide who I am. And yeah, so that's the first question. Next, this question says, biggest red flags in a guy? Stupidity. That's it. I say stupidity and like lack of self-awareness, which I think equals stupidity. That's just not it. That's everybody. Personality or looks is the next question. Personality, period. I'm a sapiosexual, so not even personality, mind. Next, have you ever experimented with electroplay? And if not, are you open to it? I have never experimented with it, and I am absolutely open to it. I've always wanted to try things things like that. So yeah. What is the best or most memorable orgasm you've had? Explain what made it the best. Well, this is that vulgar detail, I guess I was talking about. So mommy, if you're listening, but I don't know, best or most memorable. I've had thankfully for my experience in my life, I've had some really amazing orgasms, specifically with one partner. There's one partner that I've had that is just the best sex ever. So I'm going to say any orgasm with that person because it really is, everything about that is the best. Your worst habit. I think maybe for these kind of questions, I should have premeditated my answer. I think my worst habit is, I don't know. I'm really working hard on a lot of my habits right now. I'm working really hard on not I've noticed recently a lot that voice in my head that's like making decisions while I'm having conversations with people in terms of like if I agree with that or not, or how I feel about what they're saying or not. And I'm working harder at trying to quiet that because I think that will help me to truly just hear what people are saying just as what they're saying instead of like trying to decide if I agree with it or if it aligns with me or how it makes me feel. Because usually that's not even being asked in the conversation. And I'm adding it or I'm thinking about it or it's affecting how I feel and I'm focusing on that because I'm listening to that voice in my head. So I don't know if that's like my worst habit, but that's a bad habit that I recognize right now that I'm working on. So yeah. What was your worst day ever? Okay, so that crazy relationship I was telling you about when I got a lot of vengeance on that guy, the first night that it got physically abusive was the worst night or worst day ever. And it's because he got physically abusive with me for the first time. And in my emotional hysteria and leaving that physical situation, I was driving and I ended up getting in like a 5-car pileup. I mean, and pileup sounds bad. I just mean like 5 cars involved, just do, 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 do. Everybody's hitting each other. It was a rainy night. It was horrible. And it was just awful. That was the worst day ever. What do you think about when you masturbate? That is an interesting question. So when I manifesturbate, I'm thinking about different things. Right now, my focuses are finances and like relationships or partnership. And I'm just thinking about all of the things I want in those aspects and how it will make me feel to have that. And I imagine myself in those moments and see it, visualize it, smell it, all of it. So that's what my manifestation sessions. As far as just regular masturbating, again, mother, if you're listening, I'm sorry. This is crazy. I usually think about pastimes that have been great, mainly with that person I told you about is just the best. Or porn. Either like watching porn. I don't masturbate while I watch porn. I don't know if that's weird. I don't know if that's a female thing or if that's just a me thing. But I don't masturbate while I watch porn. I just watch it and then masturbate after. And I Yeah, so either porn in the moment of watching it not during, but before my session, or just refreshing my mind off of previous scenes. Yeah, that was an intense question. Okay, next. Are you straight? No, I don't identify as straight. I identify as queer because I consider myself pansexual. And how much I look at women or am curious about women, I'm just, no, I'm not straight. Would you talk to someone who used to have a crush on you in high school? As far as, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm open for sure. As far as, but the fact, this is how my mind works. The fact that you use the term talk I don't know. To me, that shows your intentions. Like, are you trying to date? Are you just trying to fuck? Like, do people talk anymore? That just feels like a really dated term, and I don't know what that means. But for sure, like, get to know or have conversation or see where things go. Yeah, I'm open. If you used to have a crush on me, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything to me. Yeah. So that was honestly all the questions. I went through that a lot faster than I thought I would. But those were the questions that I got. Thank you for submitting them. I hope I answered your question if you dropped one. I appreciate that. If you guys have any like suggestions for topic discussions, I would love to hear your insight, or I would love to get suggestions. I have topics I want to discuss, but I really like all of this to be organic, and I really only want to talk about things that are truly on my heart and mind in those moments or when I'm recording. And this week I didn't really have anything, and thankfully you guys had so many questions, so it filled up the time. But if you guys have anything that you're like, hey, I would love to hear about this, let me know, and I would love to discuss it. And if not immediately and jumping on that, it'll definitely be a topic down the line. So yeah, that really is it for our main topic. And we'll get into, I didn't want to put any anonymously kinky questions for this week because that was a lot. And I feel like y'all got a lot of not a lot, but y'all got a little closer or a little more of who I am, as especially that side of me. So no anonymously kinky questions this week, but drop them. You can DM me on my Instagram at conscious_curly. I will answer them and keep you anonymous. I will probably also still be posting this NGL link. If you guys want to see it, follow me on Instagram, and I'll be posting it to my stories. You guys can ask me anonymously kinky questions there. Our final segment is questions, and we actually do have a question this week. Thank you so much for writing this in. And our question is, how do you co-parent with someone when y'all have fundamental differences? Like one parent is strictly rules are the rules, what I say goes, and even discussing them is disrespectful of the kids. The other parent is more of a speak your mind, everything is debatable type. I think the way that you co-parent in that situation, my co-parenting situation is actually pretty similar with my oldest son's father. Again, my youngest son's father, not there. So my oldest son's father is a police officer and very much about the rules and by the book and black and white and no questions for anything. And I am very much more of a free kind of parent, and I think it's situational and circumstantial, and if my child has another solution, I'm open to hearing it. It's not only what I say goes. Maybe what they say may have a different solution. And I'm open in that way. What has helped me and what at least brings me peace in the situation is accepting him as he is, not trying to change it, not trying to overthink it, not even letting how he is affect me. I instead try to see the beauty of it and see the benefit that my son is getting from having a parent like that, as well as having two parents who are completely different, because I know that it will help him raise up in this world more accommodatable and be able to deal with all the different personalities, because his parents are two different personalities. And I appreciate that. And I just take what I can and what I can accept of the situation and focus on that and accept that. And that brings me peace and helps me at least not have any expectations of how things should be, not want things to be a certain way or trying to have control over anything. Instead, I see things for what they are. I do what I can do, and I love and parent the way that I do. I know how frustrating it can be when you accept that or when you are that way, but the other person isn't that way and they're not accepting that you're different. Because again, that's similar to my situation. But I always come back to just the age-old tale of like, you put out what you want to receive. And as long as you continue to love that parent and accept that parent as they are and show them what that looks like, what that feels like, what that is, you can just hope that one day they'll eventually return the favor. And if not, at least you have peace in knowing that that doesn't affect you because you accept it and you love it and you appreciate it for what it is. So it's not affecting you negatively. And that's really the only advice I have on that. I hope that helps. I know how frustrating this situation can be. If anybody else has any like tidbits of information or you want to like drop your 2 cents, feel free to leave a comment. Help this person out. If you have any questions yourself, you can feel free to write me. They can be about anything, life, love, anything in between. You can write me at askconsciousandcurly, all spelled out, at gmail.com. And I would love to answer your question the best I can. And that's it for this episode. Until next time, I hope you guys have a great week. You guys take it easy on yourselves out there. Thank you guys so much for listening. Continue to do so. Share this if you liked any of my answers or if you felt like any of this was helpful for you. Subscribe, comment, like, all of the things. And until next time, I'll see you guys next week. Have a great day. Peace.